Hello and welcome to today's video. I hope you all are healthy. In today's video, I am going to demonstrate the step-by-step process to set up AWS Systems Manager for Amazon EC2 Instance. AWS Systems Manager is a secure end-to-end management solution for AWS Cloud and for hybrid cloud environments. If you use multiple AWS services, AWS Systems Manager provides you a centralized and consistent way to gather operational insights and carry out routine management tasks. You can use AWS Systems Manager to establish SSH or RDP sessions without a key pair or a security group modifications. You can set up automatic operating systems or software patches also and many more with Systems Manager. If you follow today's session without skipping any part, you should be able to successfully manage your EC2 instance using AWS Systems Manager for your personal learning or for your organizational use cases. Before I start, I would like to request you, if you are new to our channel or haven't subscribed yet, then please subscribe to our channel and please click on the bell icon to get notification for any new topics. Our goal is to help everyone with premium content without any paid subscription, and your support will motivate us. Now let's review the prerequisites for AWS Systems Manager to work or integrate with your EC2 instance or SSM agent to work from your EC2 instance. The first and obvious prerequisite is you need Systems Manager agent to be installed in EC2 instance. Now recently, many AWS AMIs comes with Systems Manager agent pre-installed. I have given the link here. If I'll click this URL, it will take me to AWS Documentation for AWS Systems Managers. Here you go. Now, in this section, you can see list of AMIs with pre-installed SSM agent, and this is the entire list. I'm not going to read all the AMIs now, but I will cover in latter part of today's video when we'll check if SSM agent is installed in the AMI or not. That time we are going to discuss more about this AWS documentation. So let's go ahead, close these documentations, and let's go back to our presentation and let's complete the prerequisites first. The next is IAM role or EC2 instance profile with required privileges. Once you will install Systems Manager agent, the SSM agent in the EC2 instance needs to connect with Systems Manager service. As AWS maintains zero trust policy unless and until you will explicitly allow, any services won't be able to communicate in between or with each other. That is why Systems Manager agent in your EC2 instance to communicate or to send data to Systems Manager service, it's need permission. And we are going to create an IAM role and we are going to show you the steps how you can assign that IAM role to EC2 instance profile. Last but not least, EC2 security group should allow outbound connections to SSM service. This is a very important prerequisite and most of the time we neglect this. In many documentations or many videos, you will find only the top two prerequisites. But please remember, security group works as an instance level firewall. If your security group does not allow any outbound connection, then SSM agent on the EC2 instance will not be able to communicate with the SSM service. So if you are troubleshooting any SSM related issue in your EC2 instance, please make sure to follow these 3 steps one by one and from top to bottom. If you want me to create a separate video to cover all the Systems Manager capabilities or to cover Systems Manager in depth, please post your request as comment to this video. I'll be happy to create a separate video for you. Now let's review the Systems Manager's capability. First, automation. Using automations, you will be able to perform some steps automatically in your infrastructure. It could be in AWS Cloud as well as in a hybrid environment. You may be working with a data center or maybe with other cloud providers, and you will be able to integrate Systems Manager not only with your EC2 instance but also with virtual machines in on-premise as well as virtual machines in other cloud provider. I have created a separate video to configure AWS Systems Manager for a virtual machine in on-premise data center. I am going to provide the video URL in the description below. If you have a similar use case, you can refer to that video for more details. You can create custom maintenance window to automatically apply software patches or operating system patches. Systems Manager maintenance window help you to automatically apply and configure patches in SSM managed instances. Then Patch Manager. Using SSM Patch Manager, you can automatically apply OS level or security patches to your SSM managed EC2 instances. You can also apply any software updates or software patches for softwares installed in the SSM managed instances. Then State Manager, Parameter Store. You do not have to hard code any credentials, any password or any parameter. You can keep those in parameter stores and you can refer those parameters from the parameter stores. These services are free to use. You really do not have to pay any charge to use SSM parameter store. Then inventory. You can create inventory for your EC2 instance or for your hybrid environments or for virtual machines in hybrid environment. Then documents. AWS Systems Manager's document or runbook are set of steps that can be used to perform common maintenance and deployment tasks in your SSM managed instances. There are two types of documents. Either you can use AWS managed documents or you can create your own custom documents to perform or to create any custom maintenance steps or custom deployment steps. Next, run command. Using Systems Manager's run command, you can remotely execute any command and securely manage the configuration of your managed nodes. You can use run command from the AWS Management Console, the AWS Command Line Interface or AWS CLI, AWS Tool for Windows PowerShell or from the AWS SDK. AWS Run Command is again, it's a free service and there is no additional cost to use Run Command. You can execute the commands in multiple instances at a go. And last but not least, Sessions Manager. As I mentioned in the previous slide, using Sessions Manager, you will be able to establish RDP without opening any TCP port or without any key pair. This is another one powerful tool. In next two slides, I am going to show you SSM screen print for two different capabilities and you really do not have to perform any extra steps to utilize that feature. If you follow today's video, you will be able to set up your EC2 instance as a SSM managed instance and you will be able to utilize all those SSM capabilities by default and you really do not have to do any extra steps or any extra configurations. System compliance. You can see using SSM Manager System Compliance, you will be able to track compliance of your infrastructure and you get a single pane dashboard which instance or which configuration or which infrastructure is compliant versus which is not. Next, inventory. Systems Manager provides you a capability to create inventory for your infrastructure. Now, if your node is SSM agent, SSM will by default create that inventory and you will be able to track what are the software packages that is installed, maybe what are the top 5 softwares, maybe you want to check where I have a particular version of the software. You can come to inventory and you can get the details from inventory easily. Now let's navigate to AWS Management Console and let's see the process or the step-by-step process in action. I have logged into AWS Management Console and I am at console home. In today's demo, we'll first review how to install SSM agent on an EC2 instance. Now to install in a EC2 instance, let's go to EC2 console. Since I have used EC2, that is why EC2 is in my recently visited services. If you do not find EC2 under recently visited, you can go to service search bar and you can type EC2, and here you go, EC2 is here. Now let's open EC2 and review the EC2 dashboard. If I'll go to instance running, currently I have two EC2 instances that is running, one Linux server and one Windows server. If I'll select the Linux, now you can see platform is Linux or Unix. If I'll select the other node, you can see platform is Windows. In today's demo, we'll try to integrate this Linux EC2 instance with Systems Manager. Now let me go to Systems Manager. If I'll type SSM, and then under node management, if you come to session manager, if I'll start a session, you can see I do not have an instance listed here. That means both my EC2 instances are not managed by SSM. Now in today's demo, we'll see how to manage those instances or how to integrate those EC2 instances with SSM. First up, we'll open AWS Documentation and we'll review some text from there. I am into AWS Documentation for AWS Systems Manager User Guide. Under Working with SSM Agent, there is one section called AMI with SSM Agent pre-installed. As I was talking during the presentation, the first prerequisite is you need SSM agent on the EC2 instances or even on the on-premise or in your virtual machines in other cloud providers. Now, if I'll review this particular section, Amazon AMIs or Amazon machine images that comes with SSM pre-installed. And the documentation is saying when you launch an Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud or Amazon EC2 instance that is created from an AMI with one of the following operating systems, you will likely find that SSM agent is already installed. And the list of AMIs are Amazon Linux base AMI, Amazon Linux to ECS optimized, Amazon EKS, Mac OS, SUSE, Ubuntu, Windows Server 2008 to 2012 R2 and Windows Server 2016, 19 and 2022. Now for Windows Server 2008 to 2012 R2, the AMI that is published in November 2016 or later. Now there are options that either your EC2 instance belongs to one of these AMIs. In that case, you really do not have to install SSM agent in your EC2 instance. But if you have an EC2 instance with Windows Server 2008 or 2012 R2 and if you are using an AMI before November 2016, in that case, you have to install SSM agent to that server. Now, for our case, we have to install SSM agent for that server. Now let's review one more documentation where it talks about how to install Amazon SSM agent. Now if you see here, working with SSM agent on EC2 instance for Linux, working with SSM agent on EC2 instance for Mac and for Windows. Now if you are using Windows, you can come to this part of the documentation and it is saying SSM agent is pre-installed for these AMIs. If you are using anything prior to that, you can come to the next part and you can manually install the SSM agent. And these are the commands that you have to execute there. Maybe I'll try to create another one video where I'll try to show you all the steps you need to install SSM agent on a Windows instance. Now let's go back to AWS Management Console and EC2 dashboard. I am in EC2 dashboard. If I'll go to running instances and if I'll select the Linux server, I'll try to connect the server. Since the EC2 instance is not managed by SSM or Sessions Manager, that is why I won't be able to establish SSH connection using Sessions Manager. And it is saying that first prerequisite, SSM agent is not installed on the instance. You can install on both Windows instance and Linux instance. The required IAM instant profile is not attached and Session Manager setup is incomplete. We are trying to complete all these three steps in today's video. Now we'll try to connect using Instance Connect and let's try to connect the instance. Now I have connected to my EC2 instance using SSH. I'll elevate my permission and I'll type sudo su. Next, we'll check if we have SSM agent installed on this EC2 instance or not. If not, then we'll install the SSM agent. But as per AWS documentation, this EC2 instance should already have SSM agent pre-installed. If I'll take you to the EC2 instance again, and if I'll show you the AMI, this is the AMI and this is Linux 2. So it should already have the SSM agent pre-installed. Now let me take you to one more AWS documentation where we will be able to check the SSM agent version number. This is again under SSM Systems Manager user guide, working with SSM agent on EC2 for Windows Server. Under that you have one section checking the SSM agent, because if you do not remember this command, you can come back to this AWS documentation and you can find that command to validate if you already have SSM agent installed on your Windows or Linux systems. Now if I come this part of the section, this is for Linux and Linux 2. If you are using Windows, then this is the command. If you are using Ubuntu, then this is the command. Now let's go to Amazon Linux part and let's copy this command and let's execute this command in our EC2 instance. Here you go. So I have the SSM agent installed and the version is 3.1.x. Now next, I have to create the IAM profile. For that, I'll go to IAM. I'll type IAM. Now I have to create an IAM role. If you remember, for EC2 instance or the server in AWS cloud, you can create an IAM role and you can attach that IAM role to a EC2 instance profile. Now let's create a role. First, I'll click create role. Then from the trusted entity type, AWS services, since I am going to attach this role with EC2, I'll use EC2. Then I'll click next. From the permission policy filter, I'll type Amazon SSM. And if I'll expand the policy name, second from the top, Amazon SSM manage instance code. If I may expand that policy, so it has all the SSM related permissions starting from describe association to update instance information. All the SSM related permission is available with that policy. This is an AWS managed policy and this policy will give you the least privilege your EC2 instance need to communicate with the SSM service. So let's minimize this policy and select this policy. Let's go to next. I'll add a role name. Maybe I'll use EC2 or maybe I'll use SSM instance role, and then the description. Under description, I am fine with the existing description or the default description. Everything looks good. I do not have to add a tag here, but if you want, you can add a tag. Then I'll click create role. Now the role created successfully. If I'll type SSM, then SSM instant role. This is the role we have created now. Let's go ahead and attach that role into EC2 instance. I'll go back to the EC2 instance. I'll select the instance. From the action, I'll come to security and then modify IAM role. From the IAM role drop down, I'll select the newly created role, that is the SSM instance role, and I'll update IAM role. Now we have completed two prerequisites. We have validated that SSM agent is installed. Second, we have attached the IAM role. Now let's go back to Systems Manager and let's check if this EC2 instance is already available in the SSM console or not. I am in Systems Manager. Under Node Management, I'll go to Session Manager and I'll click Start a Session. Now still the instances are not available here. Maybe I'll give another 1 or 2 minutes just for validations, but you will see the EC2 node will not be appeared as a managed node. The reason is we have only completed or validated two prerequisites. We are yet to complete the third prerequisite, that is we have to check the security group outbound rule. Now let's give the EC2 instance some time and let's see if the EC2 instance will be appeared as managed node or not. I'll pause the recording here and I'll come back after 3 minutes to validate whether the EC2 instance appeared as a managed node or not. It's more than 2 minutes, but still the EC2 instance has not appeared as a managed node. That means we have to now validate the third prerequisite. Let's again go back to the EC2 management console. I am in EC2 dashboard now. Let me close this pop-up. I'll select the Linux server, and if I'll go to security, under security groups, I'll click the security group and I'll validate the outbound rules. Here you go. You can see there is no outbound rule associated to this security group. There is an inbound rule, but there is no outbound rule. Now, as you know, for SSM agent on the EC2 to communicate with the SSM service, the outbound rule should allow that communication. That is why we'll edit the outbound rule. I'll add an outbound rule. I'll click add rule from type. I'll select all traffic and destination anywhere IPv4. Now I'll save the rule. Now our security group has the rule saved. Now let's go back to the EC2 dashboard and let's take a note on the EC2 instance ID. The instance ID ends with FD45. Now let's go back to Systems Manager and now let's validate if this EC2 instance is appeared on the Systems Manager console or not. Maybe it will take 1 or 2 more minutes for SSM agent to collect the data and send it to Systems Manager. It will take a minute. I'll keep it idle for 1 to 2 minutes and then I'll come back when the instance is appeared in this console. Here you go. Now the EC2 instance ending with FD45 available in the Session Manager console. Now if you go to inventory or maybe in the Fleet Manager, if you go to Fleet Manager, there you will be able to see the instance is available here and it is online. That means SSM agent in this instance is successfully communicating with SSM service or Systems Manager service. Now if SSM agent is not installed, in that case what you will do? I'll go back to AWS Documentation. Now I am under AWS Systems Manager User Guide. Under working with SSM agent on EC2 for Linux, if you see we have Linux, Windows, Mac. Now I'll select on Amazon Linux 2 because I am using Amazon Linux 2. If you have a different Linux, maybe if you have a Oracle Linux or CentOS, you can go to that particular tab and you can get the command here. Now let's go to Amazon Linux 2 and here is the command for x86 architecture. This is the command you have to execute. Now how you will understand if your instance is x86 or ARM based processor? To understand that, I'll go to EC2, I'll select the instance, I'll go to details, and now under details, if you come to the instance details section where I have the platform Amazon Linux, then if I see the AMI name, under AMI I'll find x86-64 GP2. So this is the AMI where I'll get the details about the architecture. For this EC2 instance, I am using x86-64. If you have a separate AMI, if you are using ARM based AMI, then you will select the other command. Now let's go back to the AWS documentation. Let's copy the command. I'll go to the EC2 instance and I'll try to execute that command. Maybe I'll start a new session. The old session is not working. I'll go to EC2. I'll connect. This time I'll connect using Sessions Manager. So Sessions Manager is ready now. I'll click connect. Here you go. Now I can type sudo su to elevate my permission. It is elevated now. Now I can check the previous command again. It should give me the agent version. It is 3.1.0. Now I'll go to the other AWS documentation where I have the command to install the EC2 instance. Maybe I'll give this command in the video description. Let's go to the Sessions Manager, paste it. By this way, you can also run. So now see, previous version was 3.1.72. So now the version is getting updated here and it's completed successfully. I have covered both the cases if you already have the SSM agent installed and if you do not have the SSM agent installed. Now the next step would be, I'll write this command, that sudo systemctl, to verify that the SSM agent is running. Let's copy and let's go to the session. Maybe I'll clear the screen and I'll paste and I'll execute. SSM agent is active and running in this system. By this way, you will be able to integrate your EC2 instance with AWS Systems Manager, or you will be able to manage your EC2 instance with AWS Systems Manager. Once you have an EC2 instance managed by SSM, you can leverage all the Systems Manager capabilities and you can automate certain things. Now we came to a conclusion about today's topic. I hope I was able to clarify all your doubts. If you have any question regarding today's topic, please post your question as comment to this video. We will answer at earliest. Before we conclude today, I would like to request you please subscribe our channel and please click on the bell icon to get notification for new topics. If you want me to cover any topics, please provide your request as a comment on this video. If you appreciate our effort, please like this video. It will definitely motivate us. At the end, thank you. Please take care and stay safe.